The throne of Aksum was no ordinary seat of power. It overlooked an empire stretching from the fertile Ethiopian highlands to the bustling ports of the Red Sea. Its merchants crossed oceans, its armies guarded mountain passes, its gold coins circulated alongside those of Rome. When a young prince named Ezana inherited the crown, he entered a kingdom at the height of its power. To his people, the future seemed limitless, but history would remember him for far more than conquest. He would change the soul of an empire. Under Ezana's rule, Aksum grew stronger than ever. Its soldiers marched across rugged mountains, its banners appeared in distant valleys. Neighboring kingdoms learned that challenging Aksum carried a heavy price. Victory brought more than territory. It brought tribute, trade, prestige. Each triumph strengthened the empire's belief that its destiny was written in stone. But the greatest change did not arrive with an army. It arrived with a man, a foreign scholar named Frumentius. Captured as a youth and brought to Aksum, he eventually became a trusted advisor within the royal court. His wisdom earned the king's respect, and with time, his faith began to influence the future of an empire. For generations, Aksum had honored its traditional gods. Sacred rituals echoed beneath towering monuments, priests guarded ancient customs. Then everything changed. King Ezana embraced Christianity. Soon afterward, the kingdom followed. Temples gave way to churches, ancient symbols slowly disappeared. A new chapter had begun. By the middle of the 4th century, few kingdoms could rival Aksum. Its merchants reached distant shores, its rulers were respected abroad, its cities flourished, its people believed prosperity would continue for generations. Standing in the crowded streets of the capital, it was almost impossible to imagine that one day these same roads would fall silent. History rarely announces its turning points. They arrive quietly. A shifting trade route, a season of poor harvests, new rivals across the sea, small changes, easy to ignore, but together they begin to reshape the future. The people of Aksum could not see it, yet the first shadows had already appeared. King Ezana left behind more than victories. He transformed the identity of his kingdom. His decisions would shape its culture for centuries. Even after the empire faded, his influence would survive. But the empire itself was entering an age of uncertainty. Aksum had reached the summit of its greatness. Its armies were victorious. Its faith was renewed. Its wealth seemed endless. Yet the forces that destroy civilizations are rarely dramatic at first. They begin as whispers, whispers that few choose to hear. In the next episode, those whispers become impossible to ignore. The empire's greatest strength will slowly become its greatest weakness. For generations, the harbor of Adulis had never truly slept. At sunrise, merchant ships crowded the docks. Their sails carried treasures from Rome, Arabia, Persia, and India. The air smelled of salt, spices, and burning incense. The city lived by the rhythm of the sea. Then, something changed. Not overnight. Not in a single year. One ship failed to arrive, then another. The harbor was still alive, but those who worked the docks noticed the silence growing between each arrival. The world was beginning to sail another way. An old merchant sat beneath a weathered awning overlooking the harbor. For 40 years, He had watched ships appear on the horizon. He knew every season, every favorable wind, every captain worth trusting. But this year, the horizon remained empty. The goods in his warehouse no longer sold. His workers returned home early, for the first time in his life. He wondered if the sea had abandoned them. He did not know it, but he was witnessing the beginning of an empire's decline. Across the Red Sea, new powers were rising. Ports that once depended on Aksum found new partners. Trade routes shifted, markets changed, merchants followed profit, not loyalty. Every ship that chose another harbour carried away more than cargo. It carried away the wealth that had built an empire. The sea was not the only warning. The land itself was changing. Forests that had once covered the hills were disappearing. Trees became timber, timber became ships. Charcoal fed the kingdom's furnaces. Year after year, the hills grew barer. When the rains failed, the soil no longer held the water. Harvests shrank. Streams ran lower. The earth that had fed generations was becoming harder to cultivate. Nature was quietly sending its own warning. High in the mountains, a farmer stood in his field. His father had harvested enough grain to feed 3 families. His grandfather had spoken of fertile seasons that seemed endless. But now, the soil cracked beneath his feet. The harvest grew smaller each year. His children asked why. He had no answer. History would remember kings, but it was families like his who carried the true cost of an empire's decline. Inside the royal palace, advisors debated. Some blamed the merchants, others blamed the weather. Some called for new taxes, others demanded larger armies. Everyone searched for a solution, but no one understood the full picture. Because civilizations rarely collapse from one disaster. They fall when many small crises arrive together. The monuments still stood, the markets still opened, the king still ruled. To most people, nothing seemed different, but beneath the surface, the foundations were shifting. The empire had not fallen, not yet. It had simply become fragile. The people of Aksum believed they still had time. Empires often do, but history has little patience. Beyond the horizon, a force was rising that would reshape the ancient world forever. A force that would redraw maps, redirect trade, and change the destiny of kingdoms. In the next episode, Aksum will face the greatest transformation of its age, and nothing will ever be the same.